This is the Math 8 milestone review. Question number 1. Which of the following numbers is rational? So let's go through all of our answer choices. A, that is not a perfect square. So we can go ahead and mark answer choice A off. B, negative 1/2 is a fraction. Therefore, it is rational because that's by definition what a rational number is. I'm going to keep going through them though. C, pi, non-terminating and non-repeating. So that one is not going to be rational. And then finally, D, you have the square root of 5 involved, so that means it is not perfect. So answer choice D would not be your answer. B is your answer choice. Question number 2, which number is not rational? I would circle the word not when I see a problem like this, and I get confused easily with these problems. So I go through each answer choice and I determine if it is a yes or a no, or if it is rational or irrational. Since we're talking about rational or irrational numbers. For A, the number 4 is rational because it is an integer, and I can make it into a fraction, and that's what it is. B is rational because it is a fraction. C is irrational because it is non-terminating. You can tell that because of the dot, dot, dot. And D, 3.6, is terminating. It has an ending point. It stops with the number 6. That is rational. Now I can see that one of these is not like the other, and that's why it is not rational. If it's not rational, it's irrational. Answer choice C. Question number 3. Which number is both a rational number and an integer? Now look at my answer choices, and I see some fractions and decimals and whole numbers, and I need to know what an integer is. An integer is a number that is on a number line. Now you can locate all of these on a number line, but which one would you actually put on a number line? And that's going to be the one that is an integer. So if it is an integer, that goes with half of our problem. We need to see, is it rational? 23 is rational, so that would be our answer choice. Question 4. Between what two decimals is the square root of 50? So for this one, we need to look at eliminating two answer choices. I know that the square root of 50 is between the perfect square root of 49 and the perfect square root of 64. I also know that it is a lot closer to the square root of 49. In fact, really, really close to the square root of 49, which means it's between 7 and 8, but really, really close to the number 7. That means I can eliminate B because these numbers are not as close to 7, and D because those numbers are closer to 8. Now I can look up here and notice that I have 7, and if I do 7 times 7, I get 49. If I do 7.1 times 7.1, I get 50.41. And the square root of 50 would be located between those two numbers. Here is your answer choice. Question 5. The area of a square is 17 square feet. Which is the closest to the measure of the length of one side? First, I'm going to draw a square. And I would put the area in the center. And we did notes like this where we did a lot of different squares with different areas. 17 wasn't one of them because it's not going to make a perfect square on your graph paper. So I would notice that the 17 would be between the 16, and the 25. That's where the square root of 17 would go. So that means it's between 4 and 5. And just like we did on the last problem, we need to see which one is it closer to. And it's closer to the 16, which means the integer 4. So I'm going to look up here. I can immediately eliminate B. I can immediately eliminate D. I can eliminate B and D, and then I'm looking at A and C. I know that it's closer to 4 than it is to 5, which means the answer choice is not going to be A, because A is close to 5. So answer choice C would be correct. Question number 6. What is the best whole number estimate of the square root of 40? If I'm looking for the best whole number, I'm going to look for the perfect squares that 40 would be between. And that would be the square root of 36 and the square root of 49. I know that it is closer to 36. So I'm going to say that it's between 6 and 7, but closer to 6. Another way I could use my answer choices is by multiplying. I can multiply 6 times 6. And you're working backwards. This would be the square root of 100. This would be the square root of 49. And this would be the square root of 400. You found the answer that way as well. Whichever way works for you is fine. The answer choice would be A, 6. Question 7. Which symbol makes this statement true? For this one, we can use 3.14 for pi. And now we need to change 28 ninths into a decimal. By doing that, we're going to do division. 28 divided by 9. 9 goes into 28 3 times. 3 times 9 is 27. Bring down the 1. We have to keep going because we have to go as far out as the other decimal has, which means 2 places after the decimal point. So I'm going to add a 0 with my decimal and bring it down. 9 goes into 10 one time. I have to keep going because I'm still matching up with 3.1 that's over there. Add another 0, bring it down. 9 goes into 10 one time. And I don't need to go any further. So I know that 3.14 is greater than 28 ninths. Question 8. Which set of numbers is ordered from least to greatest? For this one, we're going to notice that we need to do least to greatest. And then I'm going to look at my answer choices. I'm going to notice that I have positives and negatives. So if I have negatives, they need to go at the beginning because those are going to be the smaller numbers than the positives. So A, I can eliminate because the first number is a positive and I have negatives coming at the end. B, I have 2 negatives, 2 positives, so that one looks pretty good. C, I have 2 negatives and then 2 positives. That one looks pretty good. And D starts out with a positive as well. So I can eliminate that one. So now I'm down to C and B. And I see that the first 2 numbers are exactly the same. So I'm really just looking at the last 2. I need to know if 95% is bigger or smaller than 9/11. I'm going to do 9 divided by 11. Add decimal point. 11 goes into 9 0 times. 11 goes into 90 8 times. And I can stop there because I know that 95%, if I change that to a decimal, is 0.95. And that's going to be larger than 0.8. So my answer choice is B. Question number 9. Which point on the number line is the closest to the value, the square root of 10? If I'm looking at a number line, I'm going to add the perfect squares. that go with each integer. 0 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. If I'm looking for the square root of 10, it's going to go somewhere between here, and I only have one answer choice for that, and it's answer choice C. Question 10. Ms. Davis has a square garden with an area of 144 square feet. What is the length of the side of the garden? I would first draw a square, and if it's the area, I'm going to put it in the center. That means I'm going to take the square root of 144. The square root of 144 is 12. I could also look at my answer choices and multiply. 2 times 2, that would be an area of 4. 6 times 6, that would be an area of 36, and so on. And you would find that 12 times 12 because it equals 144. That would be your answer choice. Number 11, simplify 3 to the negative third power. I need to remember that I have a green foldable that has all of the exponent rules in it, and if it has a negative exponent, you cannot have that as your answer. So, we learned that we have to move negative attitudes upstairs or downstairs. So right now, we need to make an upstairs and a downstairs. So there's my upstairs and downstairs. And right now, the negative attitude is upstairs. To make that negative attitude positive, they have to go downstairs, which means we're going to have 3 to the positive third power, because when they go downstairs, they have a positive attitude. Now, I don't need to do any multiplication because I see in every answer choice the number 27 is there, so I know without even doing any work that 3 to the third power is going to equal 27. 1/27 would be my answer choice, so that would be D. You do not need to just assume that it's going to be a negative answer because it has a negative exponent. Question number 12. What is the value of 3 to the third power raised to the second power? I need to remember for my green foldable that if I have numbers close enough to circle, that means we're going to multiply them, keep the base, and multiply the exponent. So that's 3 raised to the 3 times 2, which is 3 to the 6th power. That means my answer choice D is correct. Number 13, what is the value of 5 to the third power divided by 5 to the negative third power? I have a couple ways that we can do this problem. If it's division, and we have the same base, we can keep the base and subtract the exponents. That's going to be 3 plus 3. That's going to be 5 to the 6th power. I could also set it up as a fraction. And I notice I have a negative attitude, and they need to go upstairs this time because they're already downstairs. So they need to go upstairs, and they're going to be joining the 5 to the third that's already there. So the original 5 to the third is there. I have to add the other, and it becomes positive 5 to the third. And that's a total of 6 5s. So either way you do this, you get the answer choice B, 5 to the 6th power. Question 14. What is 3 to the negative third power divided by 3 to the negative third power? And I can do this the same way we did the other one. The bases are the same. So I can subtract the exponents. Negative 3 minus negative 3, which is negative 3 plus 3, which is 3 to the 0. And anything to the 0 power equals 1. I could also set it up as a fraction. In this case, I should be able to see that I have the same thing on the top and the bottom, so that means we're going to have 1 as the answer, because if you have the same number on the top and at the bottom, it equals 1. Or I could switch both of the negatives and turn them into positives. I still have the same number on the top as the bottom, which equals 1, but I could still go on, and 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So 27 over 27 is 1 as well. So either way you solve this, you're going to get answer choice C. 15. What are all of the square roots of 81? I'm looking for the square roots of 81. I can say that it equals 9, because 9 times 9 equals 81. I'm going to look up here. I'm going to eliminate A. I see 9 is in answer choice B. I'm going to eliminate C, and I'm going to eliminate D. I can look at negative 9, and that one is also 1, because negative 9 times negative 9 is also positive 81. If I wasn't sure about what the square root of 81 was, I can multiply. 1 times 1 is 1. 81 times 81 is certainly not going to equal 81. So again, cancel that one. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Cancel. 3 times 3 is 9. Cancel. So my obvious choice is B. Question 16. What is the positive square root of 16? If I'm looking for the positive square root, I can immediately eliminate C and D because both of those are negative answers. I can look at the square root of 16. I know it equals 4 because 4 times 4 equals 16. But I could also go through and multiply. 8 times 8 is 64. So that will not work. 4 times 4 is 16. It is positive. Answer choice B. Question 17. Solve for x. X to the third power equals 512. We have an equation, so we need to do the inverse operation. We have x to the third equals 512. We need to take the cube root of both sides. That cancels. And we have x equals, and we know the cube root of 512 is 8. So I'm going to look and decide that it is A. It's not going to be negative 8, because negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64. And if you multiply that times negative 8, you get negative 512, and we're looking at positive 512. So I can eliminate B. 170 times 170, nowhere near it, which also means 256 times 256. Oh, sorry. 170 times 170 times 270 is way too much. So 256 to the third power would also be way too much. Our answer choice for this one is A. Question 18. Which statement below is true? For this one, I'm going to go through each answer choice and solve the square roots and the cube roots. So for A, I have the square root of 1, which is 1. And the cube root of 8, I don't even have to solve it, even though I could, because it is 2. I know it's not going to be the answer choice, because 1 does not equal 2. Answer choice B, the square root of 4 is 2. I don't know the cube root of 9, but I know it's not 2, so I can cross B off. For part C, I don't know the square root of 2, I don't know the cube root of 3, but I know that they definitely do not equal each other. So part D, or answer choice D, the square root of 9, the cube root of 27, so D would be our answer choice. Number 19, what is 9.46 times 10 to the 7th power in standard form? First, I'm going to write the number, and then I'm going to make 10 times 10 to the 7th power. So I have to move the decimal. 7 places because that's our exponent. Because it is a positive 7, I'm going to make a big number as opposed to a small number. Positive 7, so I'm going to move it 7 places, creating a larger number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fill in zeros and rewrite the number. Put some commas in it to make it look appropriate, and then I can look and see my answer choice. The answer choice is D. The biggest mistake that you guys will make is you see 10 to the 7th power and you look for 7 zeros, and that's not the rule, so you need to make sure that you're very careful with that. Question number 20. 1 micrometer is equal to, what is that number in scientific notation? I can eliminate C and D because the exponents are positive, and I have a very small number, which means my exponent has to be negative. So if I look up here, I know I want my decimal point to be between the 3 and the 9 because I need a number that's between 1 and 10. So if my decimal point is here, I need to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I moved it 5 places. So I look for the exponent with a 5, a negative 5 because it's small, and answer choice A would be the